My portfolio page. So this is the first thing that you see when you log into Totango. It's going to be a representation of your portfolio. You will see what your quality score is. You will see how many customers are in green, yellow, or red. And you could actually click on all of these to see which accounts actually fall into each bucket. The other thing you'll see is your total portfolio value, how many accounts are under your responsibility. And if for whatever reason you don't see your own portfolio, or maybe you are not as somebody who owns a portfolio, so you don't have account assigned to you. Maybe you're on the leadership team. What you can do is use a little settings wheel and adjust it to see the customers that are relevant for you. So like now in my case, I'm looking at all the paying customers across the board. And what you could also make sure that is set up here, if you're not seeing your own portfolio, is that you're defined as a success manager or the owner. This should happen automatically for you without having to modify this, but if there's any case or situation where you don't see your right portfolio, these would be the things that you would want to double check. Now, the other thing on this page at the very top is the revenue center. If your organization uses Totango for the financial forecasting component, that's great. Then you will have representation of your revenue center, and your team can also forecast in Totango directly. If you have any questions on the revenue center, or if you would like to enable the revenue center for your organization, please reach out to us and we'll be happy to work with you on this. Now, if we move down the page a little bit, we have 3 different sections, starting with notifications. Notifications will come in several different forms on anything related to any account activity. So what will happen if somebody documents a touch point or records their interaction with a customer, that will come as a notification, as well as somebody assigns a task or completes a task on an account, it will come as a notification. And then you also get notifications on any changes to health, so either positive or negative. The idea here is for you to dismiss these notifications, so you want to process them one by one. And in certain cases, you need to take some action. So what you can do is actually, if you need to take some action on this account, you can actually assign a task. For example, if you needed someone to follow up on something specific, or maybe for yourself, you can also designate the specific success flows on each task that you create. And these are the specific categories of the types of engagements that you have. So this one is for renewal, support, escalation. Perhaps there's an escalation, so you want to designate that as an escalation task. You will define what the task will be. You can assign it to someone on your team, or it'll be assigned to you automatically. You can give it priority, high, normal, or low, and the due date. Once the task is set up, if it's assigned to someone else, it will arrive in their notification center, and it will also come via email to prompt them to log in and work on their task. The other thing that you can do here is also add a touch point. There are a few places in Totango where you can add touch points, this being one of them. And again, you can designate the type of interaction that you're having, and then add your summary notes about the touch point that you have had with the customer. And then you can simply dismiss and continue on. The last thing that you can do is add a customer to your attention center. So if you wanted to pin a customer to your attention center to make sure that you're following up properly on those accounts that are pinned to your attention center, you can do that in this area as well. If you are somebody on the management team, you don't own a portfolio, but you do see all these notifications, if you wanted to clean them out after you've reviewed them all in one shot, you can actually use this helpful little guy here and check mark this and dismiss all notifications in one shot. We would discourage doing that for anyone who actually manages accounts one by one, is the way to go about processing these. The next section here is going to be the work section. This is where you can manage all your tasks. You can actually complete them from the screen as well. So you can actually check mark on this. That completes your task. You can document a follow-up touch point. You can also schedule a follow-up task. And if there's no action required or no follow-up required, you can simply say no follow-up actions and proceed on. And the last section is the attention center. So I pinned a couple of these accounts to my attention center. Once I'm done with them or get them to a better state, I can simply remove them from my attention center. And also to note, on all of these particular areas, you can click on any of the kind of open space within the accounts that you're reviewing and expand some of the high-level information on the account. So you'll see what account that is. You'll also see what the health is. You'll see who the team is responsible for them. The open tasks will also be available to you here. You can dismiss them as well from this particular screen. and then you can review your timeline. And then to get out of this, you can simply click on that open space again, and it closes that up for you. Now, the next section that I'm going to review is actually going to be the account profile page. So I can simply just going to pick an example account and show you the components of the account profile page. So when you look at an account, you'll actually see the type of account that it is. You'll see some of the high-level information that is typically, we either get it directly from your system or we sync it from a system, another system like a CRM system that you have, maybe Salesforce. And your admin on Totango can actually configure and customize what data is available for you on each account. Typically you'll have the high-level information about contract dates, values, maybe the team responsible for the account, and any other data that is relevant for your organization can be exposed here, assuming that Totango captures that information. So if you feel like there's something missing or if you have some feedback, you can let your Totango admin know. Also, we have a capability, if any of the data or any of the specific KPIs are managed directly on Totango, you could edit that information directly on the screen by clicking on the little edit icon and update the specific data here and save it. So you can actually do that directly on Totango. You would want to make sure that that's the process for your organization. A lot of the time, this information is synced from other systems that are the ones that are, the system of record. So in that case, you don't want to manage or modify any of the data directly into Totango. Now, the next section here is going to be the last success flow. These are, again, the categories of the types of engagements that you can have with your customers. You can expose up to 5, so you can see when was the last time you had this particular interaction. So you can say, when was my last QBR, when was my last nurture activity, etc. And you can view that in your account profile page. The next section is going to be the health section. Totango can present you with what is the health for your customer. Health is configured centrally by your organization, so the definitions for health are managed through your admin and your business team. Totango will present you with reasons why a customer is in a particular health state. In this particular account, the customer is in good health because they are above the 20 days of activity. They're at 25. Their active users percentage is 57 when the threshold is 50. And their license utilization is above 50. They're at 92. So they're in good shape. The other good thing about health and kind of the history of health is that you can jump to the weeks prior. For example, in this particular week, the customer was in average health. And the reason for it is that they slipped below the 50% to 48. And you can understand, that is the reason why they were not in good health for that particular week. So it gives you a good way to look back in history and understand what has happened to the customer. The next area is the key metrics. Totango can present you with 3 visual graphs in this fashion, and then up to 6 other data points right below it. Your admin, again, can define which data or which KPIs are presented for you here in the key metrics area. If we move down a little bit farther, we have the users leaderboard area that presents you with information about the users and who are the most active users in the system. The default is the last 14 days, but you can switch that to another time frame if you need to. And then there's also usage leaderboard. And the usage leaderboard presents you with how your customer is using each functional area of your product. So in this particular case, we can see that this customer has 20 active users in the last 14 days using the reports module. And we can hover over similar accounts. We can see that there's only 15 active users in customers that are of the same health profile. So this customer is doing a little bit better than other customers of the same profile. So this is something that you can reflect back to your customer with suggestions and ways as to how they can improve the usage of certain areas of your product, and also congratulate them and give them some props for doing well with other areas of the product. Now, continuing down to the bottom here, we have a support section. If your team uses Zendesk for their ticketing, this can be an area where you can understand what is kind of the ticket and support flow for the particular account. Right below this is about the company section that we get into the system. And in the demo doesn't expose anything, but for you, if you have a company that you're working with, Totango can present you with some of the high-level information about that business, social media links, any financial information, and potentially a quick blurb about what that organization does. Right below this is a tags section. If there are any tags applied to an account, they will be here. Tags can be applied automatically, and I'll show you how to do that in segments. They can also be managed manually, so you can remove and add other tags to the account. I would say verify with your team first if that's a process that you follow, because easily this can be pretty cluttered if everybody starts adding their own tasks, and if there's no specific process in place, it can get pretty cluttered, but it is something that you can do. And then if we jump to the right side of the page, really quick to the top, we have another opportunity here to manage tasks. You will be presented with the top 2 tasks that are open. You can close them and edit them and delete them if you need to in this area. And you can also add other tasks in this section as well. Now, the other area on the very bottom of this is going to be the timeline. So you can see chronologically what are the specific interactions that have happened on this account, any updates, any alerts. You'd also be able to add a touch point in this section as well. And you can also filter by various types of success flows. So if you wanted to see, show me all of my nurture activities on this account, or show me all of the escalations if there were any, there weren't any, or show me all the onboarding interactions if there were any, they would be here. But basically you can actually filter by the specific interactions that have happened to make sure that you're paying attention to something that's specifically relevant for what you're trying to find. And then you can clear your filter and proceed on. The team section allows you to see who is the team responsible for the account internally, success manager and sales manager, and you can also manage key contacts. And the key contacts are the ones that carry this little lovely crown. With this, you can actually update who are the key contacts. Key contacts are important to have in the system because there are other places in Totango where you can leverage this information. So you can ask questions about, your key contacts in segments. You can also power your campaigns. So if you're leveraging Totango for customer communication piece, you can target only key contacts if you're sending them a very targeted and meaningful email message. So it's important to make sure that the key contacts are designated in the system. And then right below this is active campaigns. So if you are running campaigns, you will be able to link in and see which campaigns have been run for this particular account. And the very, very bottom of this page is a comprehensive view of everything we mostly covered already, starting with users, which shows you all the users that are currently in the system. The next section is going to be usage, and this is a great little page where you can actually see how your customer has been using your product, starting with modules. You can see how many users, user actions, what the fluctuation changes are. The default is 14 days. Again, you can jump to another time frame if you need to. And then you can also see what specific actions have taken place. So you can see how they're using the product, what are they doing, and how is that fluctuating before you get on a call with the customer. Work is another shot here for managing tasks, basically what we already reviewed in the other areas. Again, there's also a timeline, so you can see the whole kind of historic view into anything that has happened on the account. Campaigns, representation of all the campaigns that have been run on this particular account. And information is all the way summary of all the data, so all the attribute data, everything that is being sent into Totango outside of just the usage piece, so anything that's being synced from other systems, as far as any KPIs or attribute information about your customer, so you can quickly review and see what information you have for a particular customer in the system. And then the activity stream actually doesn't work in the demo, but for you guys, when you look at the activity stream, you should be able to see what specific activities have taken place or what users have been online using your product and what they've done. There's a very similar screen under activities on the left navigation panel that presents you with the aggregate view across all accounts. So this is a fun one to look at as well, because you'll see all the accounts that are online, users online, average time per user. And then you could also see the sessions that they're having and also representation of the most active accounts and users. So it's a fun one to monitor to see, which ones of your accounts are kind of at the top. So feel free to take a look at that one as well and review it. Now, the other screens that we have, and I'm kind of moving on from this to our executive console module, and starting with the team area that doesn't always stay in the demo, unfortunately, but at the high level, what you'll be able to see is all your CSMs and the portfolios that they manage. You can see how they've been covering their accounts. You can hover over, the specific interactions that they've had and see what is the percentage of time that they're spending in each. So for example, in Robin's case, she's doing 29% of nurturing, 23% onboarding. And if there's specific initiatives or maybe there's a focus for the team in a particular quarter for them to maybe spend more time, in maybe upsell or renewal or maybe expansion, whatever the kind of the goals are for the organization, you can actually reallocate, and this will give you kind of the insight to make the right decision to see if any resources need to be reshuffled or maybe priorities need to shift. This is a way to look into that. You can also see how each CSM is doing as far as covering their accounts. You can see how they're doing as far as documenting touch points and completing tasks out of the whole. You can also define up to 2 key performance indicators to see which ones are relevant for your business and see how your CSMs are tracking to those. And then you can see the overall health for the profile, for the health for that particular CSM's book of business. Now, the other related screen under the executive console is the health. And the health, if you don't modify it, will present you with the default, and it will basically align with the specific health profiles that are defined in the system for your particular organization. Now, you can actually define your own segments here as well, and don't worry about breaking anything for anyone else because this is a customizable screen and only you will see the changes that you made. So don't worry about messing up anything for anyone else. In your case, you can add your own segments, so you can actually see maybe like, who are my new customers? And this is a way to identify, maybe areas where you need to focus, maybe some problem areas that you need to identify. So I'm going to look at my customers that are paying, and I'm going to look at customers that started with me in the last 90 days. And then when I save that segment, it's going to end up at the very bottom of my list. And it's going to show me how many new accounts I have in the last 90 days, what is the total revenue represented by that segment, and then what is the health of that segment. The other interesting part here is that you can hover over this timeline to see how the health of that particular segment fluctuated over time. So you can see, am I improving? Am I getting worse? It really allows you to identify kind of issues and then work from there to improve. You can look at this from various kind of angles. You can look at it by tenure of a customer, so how long they've been with you. You can also look by different industry, maybe vertical, maybe the type of plan that the customer's on, or simply follow the kind of the best practices approach of looking at a customer through their life cycle journey, so onboarding to growing to renewal, etc. But you can also do your unique segments based on your specific needs in trying to isolate and identify potential areas where you need to focus. Now, the Revenue Center, I'm moving on now. I'm not going to spend much time here. If you have specific questions or if you don't have the Revenue Center and are interested, please reach out to us or your CSM, and we'll be happy to help. It is a great tool for managing the financial side of the house and defining opportunities, forecasting your accounts to renew, to upsell, potentially downgrade or churn, and setting up goals organizationally and seeing how your organization tracks to your goals. So this is a great tool for it. Please let us know if there's any interest and if you have any questions there. Moving on to segments, this is a very powerful place where you can ask very, very cool questions about your customer base and your user base. You have an ability to create 3 different things: folders, user segments, and account segments. Ideally, you already have a folder structure in place, so you have some organization there. But if you need to add more folders, you can. And from there, you can ask questions about accounts or users. So I'm going to give you an example of how to build an account level segment. Building user level segments are very similar. I'm going to start with leveraging my commonly used searches. It's just quick to grab something out of this without having to dig through and look for what you need, because a lot of this common searches are already available for you. So I'm going to look for customers that are paying. I'm going to look for customers that are above a certain license utilization. I'm going to say, let's look at customers that are above 90, and maybe they're also renewing. So what I'm doing is I'm building a query here to ask for Totango to show me customers that are paying, that are above their 90% license utilization, and also renewing soon. And this will allow me to maybe build a process where I'm going to build some sort of flow for my team to follow up with customers that are going to renew soon, and then they need to proceed and then complete a specific task. So right now what I get is my results. I see the health of that particular segment. I see that I have 9 accounts coming up for renewal, and this is the total contract value represented by that segment. I'm going to quickly save my segment and just call this June. What's the date today? I totally forgot what the date is, but that's not really important. It's the 19th. And then I can put it in a specific folder. So I'm going to put it into testing folder. And what you want to do is, if you're creating segments for yourself, you can keep them private, which is the default, or you can make them public if you intend your team to use them. The other thing about triggers that we mentioned earlier are the tags. You can apply them automatically through segments, and this is where you would define those tags. So you can actually define what the tag name will be. You can also easily define an email to where you would want some alert to go to. So for example, in the cases where you have something that's a high risk situation, or something dropped significantly or even improved significantly in the potential opportunity as well, you can get an email notification sent that way, so that you can define an email address. And as soon as a customer meets the criteria defined in the segment, you will get an email. And that's another way to leverage the triggering mechanism in Totango. So I've saved my segment. There's a few things I can do with it if I need to. I can actually download the segment as a CSV if I need to analyze this data somewhere else. I can also generate an API endpoint if I need to, or if my technical team would like to leverage that. That's something that they can do. The other thing that's very cool about the segment is the ability to customize the columns and add other data points that are meaningful or important for your business to see. So I'm going to look for things that I'm interested in. So I'm looking for my success manager. Maybe I want to look at, renewal date, the actual specific renewal date. Maybe I want to look at how many times they did something specific, just for, maybe I'm doing some sort of outreach with them to see how they're doing on, creating documents if I'm a document creation kind of platform. Once I've added my columns, I will see them in my results. And then again, I can export this information if I needed it externally to Totango for their manipulation. If there's a use case for that, you're able to do it. And now I have all this information readily available to me. And the other thing I can do is group by. So any data point that you have in Totango, you can group by it. So I can actually group by my success manager, and it will show me a slightly different view into my results. So I will be able to see information broken down by each individual CSM to see how many accounts they have coming up for renewal and what is the health distribution across those accounts. And that's just another way to manage the segmentation. And from here, what I'll do, I'll actually dive directly into building a success play, which is a process that you can define into Totango. I can do that directly from my segment by clicking on this little play icon. And what that does, it basically takes me into this module on the left navigation panel where you can build success plays or the processes. So when I click on that, I'll be navigated to the editor where I can define my process. So I'm going to just simply follow along. And it allows me to define what type of process this will be. Since we're talking about renewal, I'm just going to designate my success flow to be renewal. And all my segment conditions are already available, but if I needed to add more criteria, I can just simply add and refine if there's anything else that is missing that I need to fine tune. I see a preview of my segment, and then I can continue. And this is where I can specify what is that task. So I'll just say reach out to customer to have the renewal conversation. And you can be really prescriptive here, really precise as to what that means. You can assign it directly to the success manager on the account. It can be assigned by you or someone else on your team. You can give a priority. And then a due date. How many days after the task is created is it due? And once you've done that, you can click on continue. And the last step here would be just to activate your success play. Once you have activated, the tasks will get generated and sent out through the notification for the CSM and also via email. So this is a great way to build out some good processes that are already in place and automate some of this so that the CSMs know what they need to do, and Totango will prompt them for what the next steps are. Something that's very similar to success plays but more externally facing is campaigns. So the campaigns are your messaging, so your email communication directly to your customers and your end users. based on specific conditions. And this campaigns can be, managed in a very similar fashion. So I'm going to show you how to build a quick campaign. And if you don't have campaigns and are interested, let us know. We'll be happy to help you. Again, I can define what type of campaign this will be. And for now, I'll just keep it as nurture. And then I can build my own custom campaign. I can specify who will receive this campaign. So I'm going to just look at paying customers, and maybe I want to do a new user outreach campaign. So I'm going to only look at users that have started with me in the first week and are paying customers. And then I can click on continue. The unique thing about Totango's campaigns is that you can add criteria. So for example, if you're doing some sort of engagement or product adoption campaign where you're asking or informing your users as to how to better use a specific feature or function of your product, or you're encouraging them to take advantage of it for the first time, you can actually specify that as a goal. So you can say, for example, I'm trying to encourage my customers to create documents. I can say, well, based on this campaign, I want them to do this more than 4 times in the next 2 weeks. So that's my goal for that campaign. Once you have added the goal, Totango will be able to show you how you're doing as far as meeting that particular goal. On the next screen, you can define your subjects. You can make your subject really meaningful and relevant. You can also send your campaign directly from the Success Manager. So it's very intimate, one-to-one. Your recipient will just see the CSM's name, and so for them, it will seem like just a regular email that came directly from their Customer Success Manager. And you can keep this pretty customized, or you can use a simple text, plain text template, which will be much more close to a typical email that your CSM would send. And then you can add your data, so you can actually address your users by their first name. If there's no first name, you can just have a fallback and say hi there. Now, the other thing that you can do is if you're doing some precise specific messaging, you can actually add the data relevant to your customer. So you can say, hi, Mr. Customer, you're a customer of type X, and based on our review of your account, we would like to present you with some options. You can really make this really meaningful to your end user and reflect and include the data about them directly in the email. So you can actually tell them, okay, maybe if it's some sort of product engagement activity where you're looking to increase their usage of creating documents. So you could say, in the last 30 days, Mr. Customer, you created X number of documents. Here's a great job, and here's another way to take advantage of documents. Maybe there's other cool features that you can introduce them that way. But you can send them the data that's the right data for that particular user, which makes the campaigns of Totango really meaningful and powerful. So that's your way to customize it. You can obviously preview your messages. You can send yourself test messages to make sure everything arrives and aligns and looks correct. And then you can simply schedule your particular campaign to be sent. You have a few options in scheduling. You can send it once scheduled for later, ongoing scheduled for later, and recurring. So the difference between ongoing and recurring, ongoing is simply, whenever a new customer or user enters a particular criteria, they will get an email. Recurring is the same message that comes, let's say, weekly or monthly to the same audience, but the data within the message will fluctuate. So, for example, 1 month they created X number of documents, the next month they create a different number of documents. That data will obviously get automatically updated, and they will see a reflection in the data for that particular summary for whatever time frame you define, either weekly, monthly, etc. So those are the differences between the ongoing and recurring. And then once you've scheduled it, the campaign will be up and running. If it's just a one-time campaign, it will send once and then that's it. The other area I wanted to cover really quickly is going to be the what's new. So feel free to review this area regularly. We will post new updates to Totango, and we'll have some relevant articles and documents posted for you to review when we make changes and announce new features. And then as far as settings, this is an admin control area. So this is, if you are an admin, this is where you can manage users. You can add new users to Totango. You can use our integration hub and manage any of the integrations and things like that. So if you are an admin and have more specific information about any of the areas here, please reach out to us and we'll be happy to assist you. So with that, that basically wraps up our session. I wanted to cover, there were some questions that came in. So I wanted to cover a few questions before we adjourn. And if you are rushing off to your next meeting, thank you for joining, and we look forward to seeing you at our other sessions. And if you have some questions right now that you would want me to cover, please feel free to type them into the question box, and I'll take questions at this time. Okay, someone asked if there's a possibility to get a recording of this session, and yes, we actually have a recorded session already that I'll be happy to share with you. And the next questions are the tags completely controlled by us? Yes, the tagging mechanism is controlled by you, so you define what the tags are, whether it's the naming convention for the tags, and you can apply them automatically, or manually is the other option as well. And the other question is it possible to categorize the key contacts according to their specific roles at the customer accounts? So you can't, so key contacts, it's just the key contact, yes or no. So when you designate them as key contacts, they will get the little crown. Totango allows you to also send information about any other attribute or any other data that is relevant for your business. So if you wanted Totango to know what is the role of your end user, so is this a key contact that is also an admin, or are they a CEO, or are they a VP of sales or VP of marketing, etc.? What are those roles or titles? You're absolutely able to send that data into Totango. So we would need to make sure that your organization already does that, and if not, it's very easy to get that in. As long as you have that information, it can be sent into Totango either through the integration hub, or if there's already a sync between your CRM like Salesforce, and if that field is already available, that is something that Totango can sync from that system into Totango. So hopefully that helps, but it is absolutely something that you can do. All right. If there are any other questions, please type them in. I'll stay on for another minute or so if anyone does have a question. Otherwise, thank you everyone for joining. My name is Cecilia. If you would like to stay in touch or have any specific questions for me, feel free to email me to cecilia@totango.com. And I'll look forward to seeing you at our future events and webinars and sessions. And have a great afternoon. And again, welcome to Totango.